facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
A will, there's a way. Oh, yes, there is. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. If you need targeted daily leads, I'm your man. No, I don't need targeted daily leads. Thank you. I'm going to fix my camera here. Best camera in the world. I'm going to change this camera out. I'd change it out. My other one that doesn't do that shit. You're like, this is the best podcasting, but it goes out all the time. All the time. All right. In the trudging together family. Are we meeting at 2? Oh, you know what? We may not be meeting at 2 because I usually have a sponsor at 2 on Saturdays, but if I remember correctly, he's in Disneyland with the kids. So let him do it. I told him if you can meet, that's great. If not, go enjoy your time, man. We'll figure it out. I mean, fuck. Sober up, you know. I mean, I have to go spend an hour with my sponsor. I'm trying to spend time with my kids. It could be kind of interrupting, man. You know, we're supposed to be able to go out and live our best lives, and yeah, I'm gonna hang out with his kids for the day. He's probably having more fun than his kids. Yeah, great. You know, we sober up. Are you enjoying watching me do this? I don't know why people get a kick out of it. I have a coke problem. My wife's my coke dealer. All right, we're gonna be in the big book, the biggie book. I'm getting there. Okay. So I just planned my day because I guess we're not meeting at 2. So, all right. So let's do introductions. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. This is actually in the back. I don't know exactly. See, in my book, it just kind of opens to it. But if you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. And somebody showed up because the counter's on. Otherwise, it wouldn't have shown up. So, I'll find it sooner or later. Are we there yet? We found it. All right. I'm going to start on page 274. I don't think I've read back because it's just an excerpt that I read. I'm not sure many people show it because most of my my regular listeners, a lot of them were at the noon meeting, and there was some people needing some help. Yeah, I actually got something I need to say. Okay. Now, I understand that we alcoholics want to help everybody, okay? The thing is, I was in a meeting and somebody stated that they were an addict. There was no alcohol and I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to speak at the meeting. You're not allowed, you don't get to participate. an open meeting is open to the public so other people can see what AA is like. Well, he's just trying to find his place. Okay. And what he said a couple things after the meeting, and what I caught was he was trying to go to other AA meetings, and people kept telling him to go to NA because he wasn't in the right place. Those are his people. Okay. So, it's when and how to help, man. And we are not alpha omegas. We are not all those things. So we cannot be something that we are not. And I'm sure that, I will leave it I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. There's also at the beginning of the meeting, somebody, because they brought up resentment and they brought up why. I didn't want to fucking hear it, man. There's a way of being vulnerable, but then there's TMI, and that's too much information, and we've got to put it in the right places. So anyway, let's get started. That was for my rewatchers because nobody else is here yet. So 274. So I went to Akron and also to Cleveland, and I met more recovered alcoholics. I saw in these people a quality of peace and serenity that I knew I must have for myself. For not only were they at peace with themselves, but they were getting a kick out of life. Such as one seldom encounters, except in the very young. They seem to have all the ingredients for successful living, philosophy, faith, and a sense of humor. They could laugh at themselves. Clear-cut objectives, appreciation, and most especially appreciation and sympathetic understanding for their fellow man. Nothing in their lives took precedence over their response to call for help from some alcoholic in need. They would travel miles and stay up all night with someone they had never laid eyes on before and think nothing of it. Far from expecting praise from their deeds, they claimed the performance and a privilege, and they insisted that they invariably received more than they gave. Extraordinary people. I didn't dare hope I might find for myself all those people had found, but if I acquire some small part of their intriguing quality of living and sobriety, that would be enough. See, they're making a small start here. They saw something in other people, and they decided to be a part of it. And that's where the hope starts. This is where recovery starts. Shortly after I returned to Chicago, my doctor, encouraged by the results of my contact with AA, sent us 2 more of his alcoholic patients. By the latter part of September 1939, we had a nucleus of 6 and held our first official group meeting. So, yeah, this is a person starting a meeting in their area. And they always start small. I have a meeting going right now, and it's based on the same concepts as this. It is an invite only. Invite only. Okay? You are sponsored into my group, if that makes sense. Oh, I got a ringing. Hold on. No. If I do that, they go away. So I had a tough pullback to normal good health. I did too. It has been so many years since I had not relied on something artificial crutch, either alcohol or sedatives. Letting go of everything at once was both painful and terrifying. I could never accomplish this alone. It took the help, understanding, and wonderful companionship that was so freely given to me by my ex-alky friends. This, and the program of recovery embodied in the 12 steps. Looks like we got some people joining. I'm in the big book on page 275, if you would like to follow along. I haven't gotten to the real good stuff yet, though. So it took in learning to practice these steps in my daily living, I began to acquire a faith and a philosophy to live by. Whole new vistas were opened up for me, new avenues of experience to be explored, and life began to take on color and interest. In time, I found myself looking forward to each new day with pleasurable anticipation. Now comes the part that we usually read in the rooms, but this is what I read after. This is what I read after every time I speak. Hey, Bran, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm now on 275 in the middle on the first full paragraph. AA is not a plan for recovery that can be finished and done with. Nope. Ever. It's a new way of life. Well, what does that mean for life? Right? Now, the thing is now that we don't have to worry about staying sober the rest of our lives, what it does is it frees us up to be able to enter this new way of life. That's why it's important that the obsession is lifted. Is what we call the perfect release. Is the only perfect release we will have. Okay, because we're not supposed to be obsessed with alcohol, but we are supposed to have anger and sadness and happiness and excitement. Yes, we are. It is a way of life. And the challenge contained in its principles, or the principles of the program, I repeat them a lot. There's a principle to each step, is great enough to keep any human striving for as long as he lives. Yeah. You know, today, even though it's Saturday, my whole day is filled with sponsees and meetings. I have to run a meeting at 5. Well, host it. I don't know. I might run it. Who knows? All right. It's getting bigger. Getting bigger. It's weird because like I went to the 3 p.m. meeting yesterday. And I wasn't gonna go. I was even late. And there was a person from Canada that I haven't seen in a long time. And they didn't know that meeting was in Denver, and they were even on my podcast and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of weird. Are we coming in here?
He wants to ask you a question.
Okay, well I'm live right now.
You want to show him on live? And then I can have
What's your question, buddy?
Do you want some mac and cheese and what?
No, because I already ate.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Ooh. Did you want to be on camera, buddy? We're out of cheese, by the way. All right. We to keep any human being striving for as long as he lives, we cannot outgrow this plan. As arrested alcoholics, we must have a program for living that allows for limitless expansion. It means that I must stay open-minded. I was just discussing shrooms and mental health with somebody because I'm like, no, it doesn't work. And they're like, well, how do you know? I'm okay. Oh. And I asked them a serious question. I'm like, what evidence is there? Show it to me that this helps mental illness. I'm open-minded. I'll listen to it. So you can't answer that question. And I know that. See, what I'm seeing a lot of is people not learning from history, not learning from the fucking past. They don't want to listen. Happens in AA all the time. I just brought it up at the beginning of this. Okay? Addicts do not belong in AA. Please stop codependencing them because you want to help. You're not an addict. It's different. Very, very, very different. Okay? The guy even said, so we got to stay in our lanes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. They might have an addiction to other things, but we deal with alcoholism in AA. If you want to talk about drugs, go to NA. They are okay there. But you don't see alcoholics going to the NA meetings and doing this. Okay? It's not cool. I earned my seat also. And that needs to be respected. Right? And at the end, all these people were trying to help. And I said, he was just trying to find a place, which I get. But he ain't going to find it in AA. We don't talk the same way. We are doing that man a disservice by saying, yeah, keep coming back to this meeting. I said, you said you were an addict, right? He said, yeah. I said, maybe you should try NA. You'll probably find more there for you, right? Hey, dude, you're going to come up with a new one. Is it for Advent too? Like it's a new way of saying hi on Advent. She's coming tomorrow with domo arigato. Hey. Actually, that means thank you very much. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. All right. I only know some because I watch a lot of anime. So yeah, Blood the Last Vampire, probably my favorite anime. Anyway, as arrested alcoholics, we must have a program for living that allows for limitless expansion. It does not matter, Amber. I'm sorry that they don't like NA, but I am not an addict and I cannot help. It just doesn't, from what you've heard, but you don't know. I also hear people complain about AA. You know, no, we're just trying to get what it is that we want, and people are being stubborn about it. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics. That's it. That's it. We're not supposed to do more. And there's good reasons for it. There are consequences. Right? And I know because I've done it and they hurt. It hurt. Yeah, sometimes we don't hear, and I'm not trying to be specific or be a jerk. Well, that's your sponsorship group. That has nothing to do with AA. That's not. Then what's our primary purpose? To help everybody that comes along? No. You can't transmit something you don't have, period. And it's different. I promise you. But if people don't want to believe me, they don't have to. We can find out on our own time, and then you can come back and say, Dion, yeah, I learned it the hard way. But I've been doing this for 35 years, and I know very, very well. I've been through this argument, 35 years of arguments on this topic. You know? We are not an alpha omega. We're not. And there's nothing wrong with NA. I know so many people that have done the program of NA, and what it comes down to is they weren't getting what they wanted. Now, this is what I caught, and I can empathize with this. He was trying to find a place where he belonged. Well, we AAers are good about that. We really are. And I love that he was surrounded and loved. Absolutely. He's a child of God. But according to the rules, he's not even supposed to be speaking in an AA meeting. If you're not an alcoholic, you're not supposed to share. You're not supposed to donate. Right? What about me, who's earned his seat as an alcoholic? Right? We can't take from something else to give to somebody else when what they have is right here. Now, let's keep in mind that most of that is opinion. And everybody is allowed to have their own opinion and have it. So, yeah, like for Amber, it might work different. There are a lot of people that go to AA and NA, but there are several stories in here, like a man who said he had other troublesome things, but they let him in. His drug addiction. But he didn't speak on his drug addiction. He stuck with his alcoholism. Then if that's the case, then why are we not letting in Sex Anonymous and Gamblers Anonymous and marijuana, CA? They talk different. They just talk different. I've never been gang stalked. I've never been in a trap house. I don't understand. So how am I going to empathize with that? How am I going to? Now, see, some other people in AA have been. Okay? But it really is about arenas and doing the right thing in the right arena. Okay? So anyway, back to this. And great conversation, Amber. I appreciate the fact that you and I can have differences of opinion on this stuff, because what she's saying isn't wrong either. Okay? We can only base it off of our own experience, our own thing. Okay? But I know some facts, and I've seen this before, and I've seen what happens. I've seen what happens. So, keeping one foot in front of the other is essential for maintaining our arrestment. Yeah, so keeping in action, right? Others may idle in a retrogressive groove without too much danger, but retrogression can spell death for us. Yeah, because then we go back to resting on our laurels, right? Or, I don't need a meeting today. Yeah, you know, like I was saying yesterday, I wasn't going to go to 3 o'clock meeting, and then it turned out my friend was there. I haven't seen her in a long time, and nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Well, I can take that back to what we were just talking about, huh? Oh, well, shit, Dion. This shit's hard to figure out, isn't it? But if we don't talk, if we don't bicker a little bit and argue some, we're never going to get to what's right. However, this isn't as rough as it sounds. As we do become grateful for the necessity that makes us toe the line, and we find that we are compensated for the consistent efforts by the countless dividends we receive. And what are the countless dividends that we receive? Yeah, okay. Another view. I missed this, Brendan. I'm really sorry. I think that's a great solution. Yeah. Okay. See, that's fair too. Yeah. Thank you for helping me be a little bit more open-minded about it, because it does tick me off. It does. Apparently. What really got me was just the people jumping on them and that had no idea what they were fucking saying. When I go to a meeting and there's a group resentment against bombers is kind of hard for me. A complete change takes place in our approach to life. Where we used to run from responsibility, we find ourselves accepting it with gratitude that we can successfully shoulder it. And maybe that's the attraction, that we have such freedom and these things. And so let's take this even further. Maybe we're just a really attractive people. Well, fuck, we can't help that, can we? Right? I know somebody's going to pull out the responsibility statement on me sooner or later on that one. And then I can say that's made for the professionals. Yeah. It's made for the professionals, not for, so, but who was it say? One thing leads to another. Right? Because then it's like, well, Dion, when you're quitting smoking, aren't you utilizing the same things? Well, fuck yeah, I am. So this is what I can absolutely agree on with it. The process is the same. The process, the 12 steps is the same. And I can absolutely agree on that. Yes, I can. So where we used to, instead of wanting to escape some perplexing problem, we experience the thrill of a challenge and the opportunity it affords for another application of AA techniques, and we find ourselves tackling it with surprising vigor. Right? And we do. Look at us. Now let's use that. Let's use that again, because it's just a good example right now. All the people that surrounded him, they're like, because he asked a few questions and everybody was excited to give their techniques. In fact, I think Amber said, you're going to get a bunch of different answers on that one. And it's true. So what does that leave them with? Well, it leaves them with take what you need and leave the rest. Right? So that was the surprising vigor that I get to see. And when I see that, what is that? Well, it's a spiritual experience. It's people in motion, a whole group of people in motion. And it's beautiful. It's really, it's neat to see. Right? The last 15 years of my life have been rich and meaningful. I've had my share of problems, heartaches, and disappointments, because that is life. Man, that whole life on life's terms thing, man. But once we get there, then we get to have discussions like this and figure things out, right? Because really it comes down to what was best for that person. And as a group, they got it figured out. I kind of left because I didn't think that some of my stuff belonged. I gave my piece on it to try and help a little bit. So, but I figured other people had better things to say than me. So I left. Yeah. Well, I say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So, no. Because who am I to interfere? But I've also known a great deal of joy and a peace that is a handmaiden of an inner freedom. I have a wealth of friends, and with my AA friends, an unusual quality of fellowship for these people. I am truly related. First, through mutual pain and despair, and later through mutual objectives and newfound faith and hope. Yeah. See, there are certain things like loneliness. An alcoholic will feel loneliness differently than any other addiction. Born with it, it comes with the territory. So that mutual pain and despair is when I say that you've earned your seat, that's the mutual pain and despair. Today the topic was on resentments, and, I can either talk about my resentments or I can talk about how I worked through my resentments. And those are kind of the two things. I don't need to hear about your resentments. That's for your sponsor. What did you do? What was the action taken? What are the tools that you use? And Amber, thank you very much for doing that also. Big book thumpers. Yeah. I'm going back to that too. Amber, you've really helped me get back to the basics of the AA. Like, is it in the big book? Where is it at in the big book? I've got to double check this. I've got to look. So thank you for that. I know I give you a lot of grief, so I wanted to let you know that I learned from you. I learned from all of you. I'm still learning, man. Or I'm reminded. I forget stuff, man. Right? So I need this. Because number one, if I come to you and say, I feel lonely, you know what I'm saying. I don't need to describe my loneliness to you. I know I say that a lot, but I don't know of anything deeper to use. Despair. Well, despair is a part of loneliness, and loneliness is the feeling. So I don't know. For me, anyway. And later, through mutual objectives and newfound faith and hope. Helping each other, right? That's the service work. We have the same aim in our primary purpose. And I'm not saying that to use against what we were talking about earlier, but that is the mutual objectives is the 12 steps and newfound faith and hope. And as the years go by, working together, sharing our experiences with one another, and also sharing a mutual trust, understanding, and love without strings, without obligation, we acquire relationships that are unique and priceless. And why is it that they're unique? Because we alcoholics are not ordinary. We are extraordinary. And that creates for a uniqueness among us. It's been happening the last 30 minutes here where we discuss things, or maybe we don't all agree on one thing, but then we can say, well, you know what? I'm glad you feel that way, but we're going to put our stuff aside and see what needs to be done. There we go. And that's the uniqueness. Not many other people can do that. Now it goes even deeper. none of us wanted to be here. And now we're grateful because we have true friends in our life that understand where we're coming from when we say something, instead of having to explain it over and over and over. Well, why do you drink? See, I don't even need to explain that to you. Isn't that nice? And then you love me without any expectation. So you're going to love me for who I am, which is nice because I'm a pretty opinionated person. And I don't tend to hide them. So they say 80% of the program is keeping your mouth shut. I think I'm at like 72%. But this is it. There is no more aloneness with that awful ache so deep in the heart of every alcoholic that nothing before could ever reach it. That ache is gone and never need return again. Now, how is that? Well, it's our daily arrestment, right? Living day by day, day to time, and these other things that we do. But what is it that takes the aloneness away? Well, number one, it's the fellowship. Feeling like you belong. Feeling like you belong. At least it was for me. And now I feel like there's somewhere where I belong. And I get pretty selfish about it. So, I mean, there's work to be done. It said never need return again. And what does that mean? It means it's up to me. That's up to me. Now, if I decide to walk away from the program, if I decide to step out of the sunlight of the spirit, away from my friends that are relationships that are unique and priceless, I'm in a dangerous zone. So it goes on to say now there's a sense of belonging. And this is what I like right here. Of being wanted, needed, and loved. Big difference between need and want, isn't there? Big, 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 big. Now, the need, they need you there because we rely on each other for our experience, strength, and hope. But to be wanted there, hey, we missed you. Where you been? Huh? We like you here. We want you here. What? I've never been wanted, at least not in that sense. So, and then loved. What the? Loved unconditionally. In return for a bottle and a hangover, we have been given the keys to the kingdom. All right. Well, I was only planning on this being about a half hour because I thought I had a person at 2, but I forgot that he went to Disneyland. So took his kids to Disneyland, and I bet he's having more fun than his children. Here's the secret when you go to Disneyland. Take a baby. There's got to be 3 of you, okay? And you take a baby. Because then you can cut in the line. You get to go to the front of the line. And then you just kind of round robin through rides. Probably gonna get that was back when I went. That was what? 2000. That was 24 years ago. Fuck. July 4th, 2000. That's what it was. And I know because I was working at Avaya Lucent Technologies. I was a phone technician, and I was in a union, and somebody's like, "Oh, I can't use it." So they're like, "You're up," and I got to go at the last minute, and that's actually the trip that I relapsed on after 12 years of sobriety. That was a trip. I always used to joke, I went on a trip with my in-laws, and that blew my sobriety. But it's just not fucking true. It'd been building up for years. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. Peace out and have a day.